on the books. We track all of the money that's spent. We do use credit cards. I know I said that I didn't want my daughter using credit cards. That's not necessarily a forever thing, but it's certainly for college experience. But we use credit cards. You break down the credit cards. We log in all the spending. We see it by categories. So we do talk about money. So we're not secretive, but yet we're not really very open either, because we haven't really sat down and had significant conversations about mom and dad make this amount of money and we have this amount of debt, or dad is buying a new business to expand and here's how it's working, or how much money we have in the bank. We've never really done that either. So what's our philosophy with this?
I guess it goes back to, I never really had that discussion with my parents either. And I just, not that it's something, I don't think it's something that they need to know.
So Marissa's 18 now. She'll be 19 in just a little bit. At some point, do we share with her more than we've shared before? And part of the reason why I asked Joelle is because I talk with people all the time about money. I mean, I'm well known as a financial planner, even in my social circles, right? You know, you and I could be at happy hour, a friend's house, and people will pose questions to me. I mean, it just goes with the territory. It's all good. But I know about a lot of people's money and finances and how much they earn and how much they're worth. And that goes for clients, friends, colleagues, centers of influence. It's just the nature of the business that I am in as a certified financial planner. So I want people to be very open when I talk about it, because in some cases being secretive can lead to suboptimal results, because you do need help with money. Nobody can know everything. Are we doing Marissa a disservice by not sharing with her more about what we have going on?
I don't know. I never really thought of it until, you had posed this question at me for this. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's private. I don't think she needs to know anything.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because this is, although for the most part in our marriage, when we look at our families, there's more similarities, especially value-wise, than there are differences. And this is an area of one, because I, for a very long time, as an adult, not as a child, know a lot about my parents' finances. But again, I think that's part of my role as a financial planner, investment advisor. We've had candid conversations. But you don't have that same information in terms of your parents. And that's not good or bad. It's just, it is what it is. And so we're going to have to decide, are we more open with our kids for whatever reason? Not because my parents did and your parents did not. But I don't know. I mean, we did share with them. We had our wills and estates plan updated recently. And we didn't share with them the details. But what did we say to them? We said, God forbid something happened to mom and dad, there's a plan in place and you'll be taken care of. Financially, you'll be taken care of. And we know who's going to take care of you and would take over parental duties. So that was sharing.
Correct.
We had candid conversations with Marissa about the cost of college, how it was going to be paid for, what our expectations are. So that was kind of a candid conversation.
Yes.
So I don't know. We're just sorting it out on the fly, right?
Yeah.
And another thing that we did do is we've put money in both of the kids' college funds for a long time. I mean, Marissa was born in August of 2000, and by the fall of 2000, she had a college fund that we were putting money in. And at an early age, we said, hey, look, here's a statement. We just know that we put money away for you on a regular basis so you could go to college someday. It was age appropriate. We didn't talk how much we had relative to what school would cost. Age appropriate stuff. But when Marissa was in high school and we're digging into where she's going to go, what the choices are, what the economics of tuition and room and board are, we did have candid conversations with her. So we're not completely closed off.
No.
But she doesn't know how much we make.
No.
She doesn't know how much we have in the bank.
No.
Or how much we're worth. Or really much beyond that, right?
No, and I know we're just talking about Marissa, but Dominic has come along with questions. How much did we pay for this house? Because now there's some houses for sale on the street, so he knows how much they went for. He asked how much we paid for our house. He asked about a mortgage. He asked about some of those questions. And I gave him honest answers. I was not going to lie to him. I did not open up a conversation with him, but he started it with those things.
So along those lines, because Dominic is, I think, mature for a 13-year-old in some ways. He's ahead of his time and thinking about stuff like that. But from your perspective, because I know it's more, more something that I've shared with the kids, because I'm such a business geek and such a finance geek. I watch a series of television shows that are business oriented that I actually get tremendous enjoyment out of watching. But examples are Shark Tank, then the different like Flip This House and all of those shows about real estate investing, and then also The Profit on CNBC. And the kids have watched these shows with me for a while. From your perspective, how much you think that has brought to them in terms of understanding money and finance and business and money habits and things like that?
I think a lot, and especially Marissa now taking these classes in college that are business related. She has come across saying, just listening to Dad, listening to Uncle Steve, listening to him talk to his clients, listening to some areas, watching the shows with Dad, all those things, when she hears a term, it's not a foreign term for her in these business classes, whether it be, I guess, maybe depreciation or things like that. She kind of understands a little bit, and it's not foreign to her where she's not scared of these terms.
And that comes from hearing business conversations, but also watching these shows, which is entertainment. The Shark Tank is very entertaining, but I think there's good business stuff in that show in particular, and both the kids regularly watch that show with me, and I do think it increases their financial IQ, and it also promotes discussions, because Dominic will sit there and watch the show and say, well, what are they talking about? What's a royalty? And you could give just a quick little example, and it bumps up their knowledge base. And without sitting them down formally and say, let me tell you what a royalty is, or let me explain what a private equity deal is, it's just conversational during the show. So that's good information. The next thing I wanted to ask you about is in terms of paying for bigger ticket items. We already said that they kind of spend what they want to spend for the most part. We help them out. But when you get to paying for a car, with Marissa, we bought a car. It's not some super expensive car, but it's also not a $500 car either. What are your thoughts on how to guide towards a good decision with your child in terms of purchasing a vehicle?
I think that, they have to have some kind of understanding of how much the car did cost and how much you were willing to spend. The idea of her or them chipping in for the car doesn't really, I guess it's just different in each family. I think that us buying the car for her, first of all, she had no money to really buy the car, so it wouldn't have even been a conversation.
Right.
So,
and we didn't want her to drive ours.
No, and then, having her pay us back for the car, fortunate for us, we just were able to buy the car, so we didn't even have a car payment. So maybe we could have said, hey, give us a few dollars here and there for the car, but I don't really feel it was necessary. Mm-hmm. I think if she shows responsibility and she keeps doing what she's doing and she keeps her eye on the prize, that, things like that will be handled in our house.
So in the time we have remaining, I wanted to talk about this because we've been blessed, right? And so by metrics, income-wise, net worth, we're in the upper echelons of American society today. We do very well.
Actually, you sent me that article.
Yeah.
We didn't even mention, but yes.
Yes. So there was an article that talked about if you have if you have $1 million net worth, you're in the top, I think it was 80, you're in the top 12% of American households. And then if you have a net worth of $3 million or more, you're in the top 3% of American households, I think it was. And then if it was over 10 million, it's top 1%, something like that. So we've lived the American dream, right? Because we've done very well for ourselves. We've been very blessed. We've worked incredibly hard. We've tried to be smart. We've made mistakes along the way. But we're living the American dream, especially when we look at your parents and my parents. We are more successful than them just judging on money, income, assets, right? And so our kids live a richer life than we did. vacations, cars, eating out, all of the wonderful things that we're able to afford because we want to use our money to enjoy our lives and to enrich their lives.
Like
But-
when your son asks for a good steak to go out to dinner for a good steak on a random Tuesday night.
Yeah, if you say, Dominic, we want to go out, we're thinking of going out to eat, where do you want to go? And my 13-year-old son is like, I could really go for a good steak. I don't think as a 13-year-old boy I had ever been out to a restaurant and ate steak. I mean, that just didn't happen. Part of that was money-wise in my household. Generationally, eating out was a little different then, but that's really an incredible statement. When he means a good steak, too, I mean, he means a good steak.
Yes.
He knows what a good steak is. But the risk of spoiling your kids, because we want to enjoy the fruits of our labor, and, that will be, let's say, going on a nice vacation. And when we go, we want to really enjoy ourselves. But they come along for a ride. They're part of our family. So they get exposed to things at an earlier age than we did. But we don't want to deny ourselves and them the fruits of our labor, but we also don't want them to be spoiled. It doesn't seem like either our kids are spoiled. How the heck did that happen?
I don't know. It's kind of funny. This goes back to last fall. Dominic wanted to try golf. So I brought him to Play It Again Sports. And for $50, we got a golf bag, some golf clubs, a couple things, suited him up. Could we afford to buy more? Could we afford to buy better ones? Yes. But he was going to go out and try golf. I didn't know if he was going to like it, so I was not going to invest all this money in something for him to decide 3 weeks later he didn't like. So he gets out on the golf course with his used clubs, and he sees one of his friends out there who is pretty much hacking up the golf course. And Dominic is a pretty good athlete, so he gets out there and swings and right away, straight away, 150 yards, cracks me up. And he comes off the course and he looks at me and goes, Mom, did you see him out there? Did you see him with his new clubs and his new shoes and his new bag and all that stuff? He's like, and I got these stinking little clubs. He's like, but I really kicked ass out there. And I said, yeah, that's pretty funny. But he goes, well, I guess we could afford to get those better clubs, but we just chose not to, right?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah.
That's great.
So he understood that this is what we were doing, and if you liked it and you put in the time and the effort, come along, then maybe we'll get you some better clubs. But we weren't just going to go first time out, spend all this money.
Do you think some of it, and I want to be careful, I'm not spitting in the wind or being judgmental because every family dynamic is different, but Lindy and I talked about this term too, is that more is caught than taught. In other words, you could sit down and say to Dominic, oh, this about money, that about money, but really he's probably going to get a greater influence from what he sees, how he sees us operate with money, as well as what he sees, Lindy pointed this out, with his friends and family, and just, as he makes his way through the school system and gets exposed to more and more as he gets older, is that more is caught than taught. I would hope that they're not spoiled, because even though we enjoy nice things and we have nice cars and we go on beautiful vacations and we like nice food and we will go out to nice restaurants, that they see us working hard and being diligent about money and picking our spots when we're going to spend versus not spend. I'd like to think that some of that is from parenting, although I'm not convinced that that is the case. But if you believe that more is caught than taught, maybe that explains how our kids are not spoiled, even though they have gotten exposed to and experienced things that are indicative of an affluent lifestyle.
I agree. But there's also probably kids that would say that our kids are spoiled.
That's true. I guess it depends on your definition of spoiled. I think of it more as an entitlement and an expectation without the work ethic and the responsibility and the good behavior. But you're right. Based on some of the things we've done, somebody who, for whatever reason, is not able to experience that or hasn't experienced that, they could look and say, this individual is spoiled. But I don't know what, maybe we could look it up online after we stop recording on what the definition of spoiled is. But I think of it more of that entitled child that would throw a tantrum if they don't get what they want.